was 7 years old when I first saw the Smiling Man. It was summer 1998. The kind of summer where the days blurred together in a haze of cartoons, popsicles, and staying up too late. My parents had just bought our first computer, a bulky beige tower that hummed and whirred in the corner of our living room. I'd spent hours playing simple games, drawing in MS Paint, the glow of that CRT monitor washing my face in flickering blue light. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. I don't know why, no nightmare, no sound, just awake. The house was silent except for the distant hum of the refrigerator downstairs. My bedroom door was open a crack, and through it I could see a pale blue glow coming from the living room. The computer was on. I absolutely knew that my dad had turned it off before bed. He was strict about that. The electric bill, he'd always say, but there it was, glowing in the darkness like a lighthouse in a storm. I crept down the hallway, my bare feet silent on the carpet. The house felt different at night, colder. The shadows in the corner seemed deeper, more alive. When I reached the living room doorway, I froze. Someone was sitting at the computer. A man. Tall, impossibly thin, hunched over the keyboard. Tall, impossibly thin, hunched over the keyboard. He was wearing what looked like an old suit, dark and wrinkled. But it was his head that made my stomach drop. He was completely still, but I could see his profile, and he was smiling. Not a normal smile. A wide, stretched grin that seemed to split his face in half. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I just stood there, watching him type. Click, click, click. The keys echoing in the silence. Then, slowly, without turning his head, he spoke. "Hello, Michael." He knew my name. I ran. I ran back to my room so fast I slammed into the door frame, scrambled into bed, and pulled the covers over my head. I stayed like that until morning, shaking, counting the seconds until I heard my parents' alarm go off. When I finally came downstairs, my dad was making coffee. The computer was off. Everything looked normal. I told him what I saw, the words tumbling out in a panicked rush. He smiled a kind smile. Nothing like that thing's grin, and said, "I probably had a sleepwalking episode, maybe a vivid dream, but I knew what I saw. Weeks passed. I avoided the computer at night, made sure my door was closed, started sleeping with my lamp on. My parents thought I was going through a phase, but then it happened again. I was drawing in my room one afternoon when I heard it. Typing. That same rhythmic click, click, click coming from downstairs. I was alone. My parents were at work, and my older sister was at soccer practice. The babysitter was supposed to arrive any minute, but she wasn't there yet. Shh. I walked to the top of the stairs and looked down. The living room was dark, except for the stairs, and looked down. The living room was dark, except for that blue glow, and I could see him again, sitting at the computer. Same suit. Same impossible posture. This time I could see what he was typing. My name. Over and over and over. Michael, 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 filling the screen in endless rows. Then he stopped, and without turning around, he raised one long skeletal hand and waved at me. A slow, deliberate wave, still smiling. I locked myself in the bathroom until the babysitter arrived 20 minutes later. When she checked the computer, it was off, cold to the touch like it hadn't been used in hours. This went on for months. I'd see him maybe once every few weeks. Always at the computer. Always typing. Always smiling. I stopped telling my parents. They'd already scheduled appointments with a child psychologist. The doctor said I had an overactive imagination, maybe some anxiety, prescribed some techniques for managing nighttime fears. But the Smiling Man wasn't a fear. He was real. The last time I saw him, I was 9. We were moving to a new house across town. On our final night, I woke up to that familiar blue glow. I'd gotten braver by then, or maybe just resigned. I walked to the living room and stood in the doorway. He was there, but this time he was standing, facing me, and I could finally see his whole face in the monitor's glow. His smile was too wide. His eyes were too dark, like holes punched into paper. His skin had a waxy, artificial quality, like a mannequin. He tilted his head slowly, studying me, and spoke again. "I'll see you in the new house, Michael." Then he reached out and pressed the power button. The computer shut off with electronic whine, plunging the room into darkness. When my eyes adjusted, he was gone. We moved the next day. My dad threw out that old computer, said it was time for an upgrade anyway. For years, I thought maybe that was it. Maybe he was tied to that machine somehow. But 3 months ago, I was working late at my apartment. I'm 24 now, living alone, haven't thought about the Smiling Man in years. My laptop was open, and I stepped away to grab some water. When I came back, my screen was filled with text. Michael, Michael, Michael. And in the black reflection of my monitor, behind my own face, I saw it. That smile. I slammed the laptop shut and haven't opened it since. So here's my question for you. Have you ever seen something in your childhood that followed you into adulthood? Something that shouldn't exist but does anyway? Drop your stories in the comments, because I need to know I'm not alone in this. And if you've ever seen a tall man in an old suit smiling at you from the darkness, don't say his name. Don't acknowledge him. Because once he knows you've seen him, he never really leaves.